So the problem is x squared plus 15x plus 36, and now what we need to do is find two numbers that multiply by 36, but when you add them up, they add up to 15. So we would unfoil. X plus 12, and then you open another bracket and you do x plus 3. So now we solve for x. So x plus 12 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. So you have to move the 12 to the other side of the equal sign. So you do x equals negative 12, and for the other one it's going to be x equals negative 3. So the problem is 18x squared minus 2, and when we factor, it's going to turn into 2 bracket n x squared minus 1, and that's because 2 times 9x squared gives you 18x, and 2 times negative 1 gives you negative 2. And also 9x squared is a perfect square. So what we do is we unfoil it, and it becomes 2 bracket 3x plus 1, and then another bracket 3x minus 1, over 2. The 2 cancels. So now you solve, and it becomes 3x plus 1 equals 0. So what you want to do is you want to move the 1 to the other side of the equal sign. The solution for the first one would be x equals negative 1 over negative 3. For the second solution, it is 3x minus 1 equals 0. So you move the 1 to the other side, and you get 3x equals 1. And now you put the you divide by 3, and you get x equals 1 over 3. So the problem is 3x squared plus 7x minus 20. So now you do negative 20 times 3, and that will give you negative 60. So then you do 12 times negative 5, that will also give you negative 60. And you do and you add 12 by negative 5, and that will give you 7. So the next step is plugging 12x and negative 5x for 7. So what you do is 3x squared plus 12x minus 5x minus 20, and you'd put brackets between 3x and 12x, and between negative 5x and negative 20. So now you'd unfoil or solve. So the next step, you do 3x bracket x plus 4, and then close the bracket, and then negative 5 bracket x plus 4, close the bracket. So now you take the 3x minus 5 that you took out from unfoiling, and you'd put it aside, and you'd also take the x plus 4 that were in the brackets, and you also put them aside, so you'd get 3x minus 5 and x plus 4. Now you solve for x in both of the equations. So now to solve x plus 4, you do x plus 4 equals 0, and you need to take the 4 to the other side of the equal sign to get your solution, and you'd get x equals negative 4. Now we do the same thing what we did with the other x, and it will become, you take the 3x minus 5 out, and it becomes 3x minus 5 equals 0. So you add 5, and you get 3x equals 5. So now you have to divide by 3, and you get 5 over 3. X equals 5 over 3. Problem is 5x minus 40 equals 0. So what you need to do now is you need to take the 40 to the other side of the equal sign. So it becomes 5x squared equals 40. And now you have to divide by 5. So it becomes 40 over x equals 40 over x squared equals 40 over 5. And when you divide 40 by 5, you get x squared equals 8. So now to get rid of the x squared, square root both sides, and it becomes square root x squared equals square root 8, and that will lead you to x equals 2 square root 2. So the problem is x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. And what you do now is you move the negative 5 to the other side, so it becomes x squared minus 2x equals 5. So now it becomes x squared minus 2x plus negative 2 over 2. And on the other side of the equal sign, it's 5 plus negative 2 over 2 squared. Because what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So for the next step, you do x squared minus 2x plus 1. You get 1 because negative 2 divided by 2 gives you negative 1. And now you have to square negative 1, which gives you positive 1. And on the other side of the equal sign, it's 5 plus negative 2 over 2 squared. And negative 2 divided by 2 gives you negative 1. And when you square negative 1, you get a 1, because a negative and a negative gives you a positive. So now 5 plus 1 equals 6.
So if you factor x squared negative 2x plus 1, it gives you x negative 1 square equals 6. And now you have to take both square roots. So the square root of x negative 1 squared is x negative 1. And now you have to take the square root of 6.
So the answer is x equals plus or minus the square root of 6 plus 1. So the problem is x bracket x minus 5 brackets close equals negative 4. So what you do now is you distribute, and you get x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals 0. We multiplied x by x and x by negative 5, and we moved the 4 to the other side of the equal sign. So the formula we're going to use to solve this equation is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. A in this problem is 1, b in this problem is negative 5, and c is 4. But you always have to make sure that a is positive, and in this problem a is positive, so we didn't have to switch it from negative to positive. So now what we do is we plug in a, b, and c into the formula. So it becomes x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 over 2. Formula becomes a positive, so it's x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 16 over 2. So now we solve even more, and it becomes x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 9 over 2. The square root of 9 is 3, so now it becomes x equals 5 plus or minus 3 square root 3 over 2. Pardon me, I meant to say x equals 5 plus or minus 3 over 2. So now we solve for both x's, and the first one is x equals 5 plus 3 over 2, and the second x is x equals 5 minus 3 over 2. To solve the first x, you do x equals 8 over 2.
I don't think it's send it.
It's sent.
But why?
Because you told me to send it?
It didn't get to neither of my two accounts.
It did though.
No, it did not.
I went through, I heard it say though. Oh, it's sending now.
Which gives you 4. To solve the second to solve the second x, you divide 2 by 2, which gives you 1.